Welcome to the show, and welcome to Glow So Bright. This is an intelligence report on Arizona Marxist armed groups. Dated September 21st, 2025, 0430 Zulu. Precedence is routine. Bottom line up front, Marxist armed groups have been documented to operate within the state of Arizona and have been present in the 2010s and 2020s. The Phoenix John Brown Gun Club is the armed wing of the local chapter of Redneck Revolt. Redneck Revolt is a Marxist anti-fascist political organization which was formed in 2016 in Kansas, which targeted the rural American as a base or utilizes rural imagery in their promotion. The founders of the organization, as claimed in a 2017 official podcast, were named Tyler, Connor, and Dave. One of the major founders of both organizations, Dave Strano, whom was leader of large Antifa groups in the early 2010s in Denver, Colorado, such as Denver Community Defense Committee. Later he would move to the Phoenix area. Redneck Revolt, as well as the Phoenix chapter of the John Brown Gun Club, has heavily been active since 2016 and has seemingly gone defunct since 2019, with public-facing armed events in both armed protests, armed meetings, and shooting events at what is likely Sycamore Creek, as well as likely militia organization and activity in that area. Members of the organization seem to be platoon-sized and apparently armed mostly with low to medium end arms and equipment. Here was a sprinkling of higher-end equipment such as drones, then new SUVs, and suppressed AR-15s. However, there had been numerous allegations against Dave Strano, called davestrano.noblogs.org, coming from specifically Strano, who would allegedly use his position of influence, control, and power to withhold pooled and collected funds and use them for coercion and sexual assault against numerous women, as well as his use of power and influence for quid pro quo for sexual favors. Such allegations come from individuals in the Denver Anarchist Black Cross, Kansas Mutual Aid, Rose City Antifa, the Torch Anti-Fascist Network, and the Denver ABC, all with a similar theme of claiming that Strano would be abusive and manipulative, especially towards female members of these organizations. Describing the specific behavior in a YouTube video will get the video pulled, and a warning would be placed underneath it. Redneck Revolt became defunct in 2019, and several John Brown Gun Club chapters would continue to operate quasi-independently without Redneck Revolt support, splinter into different groups, or be formed independently post-Redneck Revolt. Dave Strano likely resides and still operates within the state of Arizona, likely in the Phoenix area. He appears to have formed a fully incorporated safety business called Empowered Safety Concepts, LLC. And let's comment. To put it bluntly, I feel extremely unsafe around Strano. Land and Liberty Tactical was formed as a splinter of the Phoenix John Brown Gun Club, likely by Strano, after the aforementioned allegations were placed upon him. Land and Liberty is a platoon-sized element which mostly utilizes multicam and is organized as a militia. They are armed mostly with AR-15s, but some AKs are sprinkled here and there as well. Their area of operations appears to be both in the Phoenix area as well as Ajo, near the Mexican border. While they claim to be an organization to help illegal migrants or traffickers, their use of multicam will cause issues of identification as a different militia, or possibly federal forces or National Guard. Anti-fascist or anarcho-communist patches and insignia appear to be used for IFF. The organization appears to be active from 2022, and its last known activity was in 2023. Some other notes of caution. On the r/socialist.ra subreddit, an individual who is known to have promoted the group is a staff member at one of the Raising Cane's fast food chicken restaurants in the Phoenix area. A weirdo that I don't want to have supervise or prepare my food. Word to the wise. Avoid these restaurants in this area, and if you really crave for Raising Cane's, do so in Flagstaff, Tucson, or any other area. Complaints have been made formally through Raising Cane's customer service channels. However, the resolution being at an unknown status, I'd advise not to go to the Phoenix area locations until further advised. InRange TV, a media organization based in northern Tucson, primarily focuses on guns. Founded in 2014, it was initially hosted by Carl Cressada and Ian McCollum until McCollum left due to Cressada's hostility and behavior. Russell Fagan, aka Sinistral Rifleman, owner of KE Arms, currently co-hosts the show after McCollum's departure around 2019. So why the attention towards InRange TV? The host of the show, Carl, would end up associating more and more with politically unpalatable people in the far left and would attack other individuals who would disagree with his own worldview. This would end up causing Ian to split from the group, and Carl would end up unlisting or trying to remove Ian's associations during his time as co-host of the show. Or being outright hostile to Ian in his own channel. Forgotten Weapons, with new forgotten weapons content, or collaboration with companies such as Vodostelka. With an initial partnership with Brownells, a major firearms retailer, with the What Would Stoner Do rifle, a lightweight AR-15 pattern rifle with core components like the KE Arms KP-15 polymer lower receiver, Carl ended up destroying his partnership by lashing out on ARFCOM, or AR-15.com, a firearms-based internet forum that has a core infrastructure being supported by Brownells from their own acquisition of the forum in 2019. Another example of Carl's promotions of far-left individuals would be supporting Tactical Girlfriend, aka Omar Rashan, Nora Rashan, and Jasmine Jade, who is likely a member of the Puget Sound John Brown Gun Club and has written articles for their website. That particular organization is known for likely controlling Chaz/Chop during the Floyd riots in Seattle in 2020, as well as having one of their prominent members, Willem von Spronson, be martyred for attempting to attack the Tacoma ICE facility with a rifle, HME, and firebombs in 2019. Look at the Associated Glow So Bright reports on the Puget Sound John Brown Gun Club for more details. Another example of in-range TV is a promotion of far-left figureheads or organizations which would erode the Second Amendment under the guise of the phrase, two-way for all. These organizations want to use arms for the sole purpose of destroying and disarming anyone whom they deem as enemies, including those who support the ideals of the Constitution, such as Carl's promotions of the entities known as A Better Way 2A, Queer Armorer, the Socialist Rifle Association, which are some examples of this, where they have done things like conflate speech with violence, view anyone that isn't them fascists or Nazis and enemies, who must be destroyed, wanting to destroy the Second Amendment, and celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder. Look up Glow So Bright's videos on 2A for All, as well as a speech titled September 11, 2025 for more details on this. In-range TV, as guided by the leadership of Carl, would end up further isolating and entrenching himself among his far-left niche while further alienating a larger and greater demographic of people. Carl, for some perceived slight, will attack organizations and individuals which in the past collaborated with him. The Phoenix Anarchist Federation is another anarcho-Marxist organization which exists in Arizona, based in Phoenix, Arizona, with the elements of it being armed and encouraging members to obtain arms. The group started in October 2021 and has halted activity in October 2023. Key personnel, operational status, or size is unknown for this particular unit. Queer Defense Phoenix is a sister unit to the Phoenix Anarchist Federation that has activity present between July 2022 to September 2022. While using the imagery of firearms, it seems that published photos appear to be some sort of improvised gym setup inside of a garage as some sort of martial arts dojo. Trigger Warning AZ has been a recent leftist armed group, which seems to be a crossover of the audience that participates in the r/liberal gun owners and r/socialist RA subreddit, with approximately 120 participants. Another group to take a look at is the Arizona chapter of Stonewall Underground. While at a national level about 2,000 to 3,000 participants, and within Arizona about 3 to 5 individuals, Glow So Bright analysts will look further into this matter further via a Discord server that keeps being promoted on Reddit and X. Various Antifa cells also exist within Arizona, however they are much more loosely organized, with the individuals being involved only discovered after the fact of an arrest, such as a cell in Tucson being arrested at an anti-ICE protest and trying to throw firebombs related to Stop Cop City. Another example of an unidentified Antifa cell would be that with an transgender individual identified as Eric Austin, aka Brittany Erica Austin or Samuya Dawood. This individual is known to show up armed at political events, and was identified among a group of 10 or so Antifa-aligned individuals protesting outside of the perimeter of the State Farm Football Stadium, aka the Cardinal Stadium, in the vicinity of Glendale, Arizona, on September 22nd, 2025, during the vigil for Charlie Kirk, whom was recently assassinated on September 10, 2025. Analyst comment: this individual needs to be sent to Saudi Arabia or Palestine to be reported to the nearest imam or police officer, then live leak or telegram footage would be analyzed afterwards. Analyst comments for this intelligence report can be read below. We should not underestimate that armed Marxist groups, which do support and are networked with armed violence, have existed since the 2010s with various states of public visibility and operation in the state of Arizona. While organizations mentioned are not exhaustive, as there could be organizations which may have not been observed by Glow So Bright since the time of reporting. If you are aware of these groups, as well as details about them, shoot a tip on social media to Glow So Bright about them, such as on X and Instagram. If they exist in the state of Arizona or within your own state, it wouldn't hurt to send a tip. Even if you live from Alaska all the way far down to Alabama, from California all the way up to Maine, or even Hawaii. Who knows? Maybe Guam or Puerto Rico. If you do see evidence of a major crime, contact local law enforcement and please send a tip to the FBI on their website at tips.fbi.gov. Sources and a text version of this report can be found below. Thank you very much for watching.